on YouTube, and we'll be ready to go. And so this is stream 2 for today, and today, or this afternoon, or right now, we are going to be looking at a bunch of mini PCs. I'm probably not going to boot them all up, but they're all here. So I've got just a variety that we'll talk about so we can get a better context about what mini PCs are all about. And I am going to get my stream configured here and welcome in our viewers. I haven't made this one public yet, have I? Let's see. I have. Okay, good. So it should be, yeah, we're public. Okay, good. So yeah, so I've got a variety, a whole stack of them. Incidentally, I'm going to put a ping in the chat here. And that way everybody tuning in can get on board. And let's pin that. Yeah, so tonight we're doing a giveaway of a Legion Go handheld, and we're selling a bunch of stuff, so it's going to be fun. Black Friday. It is Black Friday. Got to make the money. Lunch Money is here, speaking of money. Bama Fan is here. Good afternoon to the Grand Admiral. Jordan Gish, happy Thanksgiving to you. And William Wilkinson, hello there. Yeah, so what we're going to do, I found the mini PC that was missing. It was buried under a bunch of stuff, so I found it. And we're going to start off with my favorite mini PC. You can get this one today. I've got the link in the video description. This little guy, this is going to be probably my product of the year. Yes, you get me twice in one day, and if you go to the stream at 6:30, you get me again over on the Whatnot thing we're doing. So I love this thing. This is like the least expensive but most powerful mini PC I've ever seen. It's an N100 based mini PC. It is currently $125.93 for its 8 GB configuration, which is roughly around what it sells for generally. But it's, if you're going to get a bunch of stuff, why not pick this up? And then there's a 16 GB one for just under $200 with a 1 TB SSD. So the one that I'm linking to in the video description is $126, 8 gigs and 256 GB SSD. The 16 GB one for $200, not $194.98, comes with a 1 TB SSD. And you'll see some of the cool things that I've set this one up to do. And my streams are doing really well on Amazon this week. So I did one yesterday, I did one this morning, and now I'm doing one now. And we're getting several hundred viewers in. I think they're putting me up on one of their product category pages, but it's been pretty wild to see all the traffic. I'm still losing my voice. I had a cough. I must have had like some kind of thing last year, and it took me like a year to get over it. Now I've got a bunch of alternatives here too. So what we'll do as we're going through this is I will show you some examples of other ones that I have up here on the desk. And the price escalates. So I've got them kind of in price order right now. So this is the least expensive. This is the second least expensive. And then as you ramp up the performance level, you get into other stuff. And there's certain things that some have that others don't. So I'll go into all of the different variations here of mini PCs. And then tonight we're getting rid of all of them, or at least most of them. This one I'm keeping. I love this one. So let me show you how I set this one up here. So what I like about the GMK-Tech G3, which is this one, is that it is incredibly inexpensive. It is powered by an Intel N100 processor. And when you price out a Raspberry Pi with all the stuff you would need to make it work, you're pretty much at the price point this is at. So why not just get this? Now, Raspberry Pi has its place if you're a maker and you've got all those things that you like to connect up to it and everything. But what I like about these PCs is that they're great for general computing. If you have kids, one target, I think, for this particular device would be if you have a kid that really wants to learn home lab stuff and development and Linux, get them this and they won't screw up their main computer. Because if they screw this up, they just reset it and off you go. The March of the Minis. That's a good one. I think that's what I'll call this the stream, the March of the Minis. Now, what's also fun about this is that you can pop the hood very easily. So it just snaps right off the top case. So I'll zoom in on what I have here so you can see what I've got going on. So inside, we have a couple of things to look at. The first is the memory. So these are all, if you're a computer nerd, you know that you want dual channel most of the time. These Intel mini PCs now with the N100s and the N300s, they're all single channel, but they perform just fine. So this one has 16 gigabytes, I think. Yeah, so this is the $200 configuration. And Computer Pal loves the mini PCs. I do too. Everybody does. And what's funny is I'm getting more interest on YouTube from mini PCs than I do from laptops. So clearly there's a market out there for these things, which is why I'm getting like a lot of traffic on these, which is why I've been doing a lot with them lately. So here's what I love about this one. So you have two, again, for 125 bucks, you have two storage slots. So when you get it, you'll have your memory in here. You can bring the memory up to 16 gigabytes, up from 8 on the cheaper one. The $200 one comes with 16. You have a terabyte here on the $200 one. And then this slot will be open. Now, what you have to put in here is an M SATA drive. It doesn't work with an NVMe. So just be aware of that. So you have to get a specific drive of this size. So this is an M.2 SATA 2242. So a 2242 M SATA goes in there, and your NVMe goes in here. And so what I've done with this one is I've set it up to dual boot. So what we'll do is we'll put the cover back on here, and we'll boot it up. So Adele M, do you want me to play video back at 1080p 60, or stream to it? Let me know. Okay, so let's turn it on. Now this monitor is on sale also today, which is why it's still up here. I think I have to plug it in. Hang on, let me make sure it's plugged in. This monitor is on sale. We took it out of the box and set it up in the last stream. It's $100. It's a 27-inch 1080p. It's a Samsung, and it's curved. It's not great, but it's $100. So take what you can get. And works as these are great. There's like a bunch of different use cases with these. Great for retro emulation. Now, all right, so here's what I want you to see on here. Let me put my keyboard activated here. So it's hard to see, but when mine comes up, because I installed Linux on one drive and Windows on the other, I can choose my operating system. So for example, why don't we boot Windows first? So I can go here and select Windows. And then I'll reboot and I'll show you I'll show you the other one. So here is Windows 11, and these come with Windows 11 Pro for some reason. Excellent for Batocera. I have not played with that yet, and I need to. All right, so you know what we'll do? We'll head over to Twitch and do a little playback for you. I don't do much on Twitch, so this will be a good exercise for me. I do know that it plays back 4K 60 from YouTube just fine. And one of the things that always surprises me about the Intel chips in these things is that they are very efficient, especially for video processing. It's pretty remarkable. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Sean Wilson. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, we're doing a little live streaming today. It's become like my after Thanksgiving tradition to sit in here and do streams all day. But they're helpful. I like to answer viewer questions. I love the way this keyboard sounds. So I'm using the 8BitDo retro mechanical keyboard here. And then I just found stuff that you can get today. So this is the 8BitDo retro mechanical keyboard. You'll see it in the carousel when you click the link. And then this is a ProtoArc trackball mouse that's also on sale today. This is the EM01NL. It's not as good as like your Kensington one is, but it's passable. What I don't like about the ProtoArc mice is that their clicks are not they don't click very deeply. They don't have like a lot of travel to the click. So they just kind of have a very soft, spongy kind of click, which I'm not a big fan of. All right, so one thing about the monitor that we got here, this is actually a 100 hertz display, believe it or not. So I can crank it up to 100 hertz here. And it actually looks better at 100 hertz than it does at 60. So when you pull up like a thing here, it's pretty snappy. Isn't that crazy? Out of this is what we're looking at right here, 125 bucks. Really? I mean, how can you beat that? All right, so yes, I have reviewed every single one of these on the channel. So if you go back through, I should probably have put up a playlist, but if you go to Lon.TV/mini PC, you will see reviews for all of these. And this one in particular has been featured a lot. So this one we did the full review of. And then I did another one. Gosh, I think I did my retro bat review with this one. I also showed how it works as a Plex server. So this one's gotten some mileage for sure. All right, so now that it's booted up, I did the EMU deck one. That's what I did on this one. And by the way, not for nothing, we take out my 8BitDo. I'm just going to go full on home shopping club today. The 8BitDo controllers are on sale today too. This is why I don't have to buy anything anymore, because I have everything. It's just piling up in here. That's why we're getting rid of stuff tonight. So we may have some surprise sales and giveaways tonight too, just to get rid of stuff. Let me go in and just forget the pairing on this one. And we'll pair this guy up here real quick. Hi, Dave for Shmups. I did have a good Thanksgiving. And yes, this is the G3. So Joe Cool is wondering if this is the G3 that we're looking at. And that is the one right here. I can't believe how much value is packed into these. Now, this one has a fan. So as we're going through here, this one has a fan on it. Minix makes one that performs exactly the same, but is fanless. Now, this particular one is their N300 or Z300. I've reviewed all of these. We have reviews in the mini PC playlist. And this thing is like a solid block of metal. It is like super heavy. It does cool itself pretty well. This one with the Z300 did not do as well cooling as the N100 version did. So this one has, I think, 8 cores versus 4 on the N100. The N305 is 8 cores. And I think it's just thermally that the heatsink just can't passively cool it well enough. But it's not like a huge drop in performance. It just didn't pass the 3D Mark stress test as well as the N100 version did. But the N100 version of this is 200 bucks. So if you wanted something fanless, you can get one of these. And these are really decent, again, decently performing mini PCs. Let me get the pairing going here again. My controller went to sleep. So I didn't move quick enough here. There we go. Let's try that again. Add device, Bluetooth, 8BitDo Pro 2, and that should connect up quicker now. There we go. And just to show you how good these are, so you can't play a lot of games on this that are current. Obviously, you're not going to run like Red Dead Redemption or GTA 5 or whatever. Actually, GTA 5 you can get working at like a really low resolution, but older games work exceptionally well on this. As you'll see, this game is a modern retro game that runs at full speed here. And Dell's still waiting for the Intel Arc. Yeah, we're going to see a lot more of these things come out. And Asus will probably make that for Intel, I would imagine. And the Perix key board, I'll have to check that out. So all of these have upgradable memory and NVMe. I think even this one, I think, was upgradable. I'd have to go back and look. But I'm pretty sure these are all, I know these are all upgradable. In fact, most of these have 2 NVMe slots. This one doesn't, but this one has an NVMe and an mSATA. The rest of these, I believe, have 2 NVMe slots. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll just show you just how well this runs. So this is the kind of game that works great on it. But even like older 3D titles like Half-Life 2, anything from like 10 years ago back runs really well. But this is, a modern shoot 'em up. Granted, it's 2D sprite-based thing, but it works great. It plays great. This is a fun game. This is called Iron Meat. It's a Contra clone, and they did. I shouldn't say clone. It's Contra inspired. They did Contra better than Contra did. So they have that new Contra game that came out. This is better. Now, if you're curious, the display here. This is the $100 27-inch 1080p display. It looks pretty good. It has a 4 millisecond response rate on it. So you will see a little motion blur in games like this in particular when you're moving, when the screen is scrolling, or when you have a lot of fast sprite movement. But these kind of games run great on it. And then you can go back into get your retro arch or whatever favorite retro thing is, and you can start playing retro games on it without any issue. So this kind of thing works great. Here we can plug in my my retro drive here. Actually, I got all the USB ports used up here. I got two on the back there. This game's called Iron Meat. And what I'll do here is I'll plug my retro bat drive in here real quick, and I'll show you some other stuff. This is give you a baseline. So this is the least expensive one and the least powerful, but you'll get a feel from what we're going to do here as to what its capabilities are. So I'm just going to plug this drive into the back here. Now, what I put on this drive, this little USB drive, is Retro Bat, which is a retro emulator front end. And why don't we load up a PS2 game? Let's see if it can handle that. I don't know if it I think it can actually. Let's see. But we'll see. So I'll boot up Retro Bat here. Now you will hear the little fan running on this, and it's a variable rate. So if you want quiet, the Minix is the better way to go. Yeah, I like the look of these Minix machines. And it's got this real industrial feel to it. I can't convey the weight, but it's extremely heavy. The whole upper third of 2/3 of this is is a big heat sink, and it weighs a ton. But it does have that Spectrum look to it. It's really cool looking. All right, so let's go in and we'll do two things. First, we will check its performance as a 3DO because we have to, and we'll load up the 3DO version of Road Rash. So this was a popular game console from 30 years ago. It wasn't actually, I shouldn't say it was popular. It was popular with me. And it does take a second for the games to load up here, but they'll come up. Heck yeah, we got a tower of power here. We could actually be running a whole big, I could run my own website off of these. I could do a whole big to-do. We could, I'm not smart enough to know how to do this, but I could set up, what is it, whatever that stuff is that deploys these things across the board. I'm not sure what happened here, but it just locked up. It was doing great up until just a second ago. Did it crash? Nope. Okay, I must have hit a button. All right, so we'll just do a quick thrash mode here so you can see the performance. So again, this is a 3DO we're running in emulation via RetroBat. And I think the emulator that it uses for the 3DO is RetroArch. And it does kind of simulate the load time of the 3DO, so there is a little bit of wait here for things to load up. Although it's usually faster than this. I don't know if we're locking up or what. We'll let it sit here for a second. I think I may have locked it up. Let's try it again. I'll pop out of here and we'll pop back in. It does work usually. Surprise, surprise, it was working yesterday when we tried it. Here, we'll do the need for speed here. Let's try that one instead. Generally, it works. Yes, I'm not sure how they're doing the profiles or the placements today for the Amazon video. So earlier I had like I think almost 60,000 views of this live stream, which was crazy. But I don't see any featured at the moment. So this was the original Need for Speed. I think this one came out before all the others. It was on the 3DO. And they had this like dude here that would taunt you. All right, so we can pick our car. Let's go hit the road here. This might work better. Let's see. Maybe not. Oh, we can hit the keys here. That's what you do. Okay. I think there we go. Now it's loading. So again, a 32-bit system from the 1990s. I think I have to put it in gear. There we go. And he had different views that you could do. I'm trying to remember which one did the views. There we go. So this game never ran terribly fast. I gotta remember what the button combinations are. But it's running, from my perception, this is running at full speed. Oops, I went in the wrong direction. There we go. I think I have automatic transmission enabled. So you have to put it into gear and then it does its thing. But yeah, no, this is running at, this game ran slow, so it's actually running at its full speed. But when this came out, there was nothing like it. Like you had driving games, but you didn't have these 3D rendered backgrounds. Like this was groundbreaking for its time. This is the 3DO. So there you go. So now, hey, Flood of Sins is here. Hello there, sir. So now what we can do is we can jump up a generation here. We'll go over to the PlayStation. So here's like a PS2 example. And this is going to push it to the limits here. I don't think it's going to do as well with this, but let's see. Let's see how it does. I don't know. It might be surprised. Yeah. I never thought of it that way, but that might be why they called it that. Yeah, the PC version came out like shortly after the 3DO one, and that one ended up running a lot faster. But the 3DO kind of predated all of the, all of the PC hardware acceleration and all the other stuff that we've kind of gotten accustomed to over the years. So this game came out, I think, in like 2005. I can't believe this game's been out for 20 years. Jeez. So I played this game for the first time 20 years ago, and I've never found a better one than this for racing, as far as racing is concerned. So I want to say that this will run close to full speed, but not quite. All these other ones, with the exception of this one, can get it there. Actually, no, it's pushing 60 right now. I think it actually is up there. Let's see. Yeah, we're running at 60 frames per second. So you can get, this is a PS2 game. This is where it slows down a little bit. You can see right when we hit the cars, there's a little bit of slowdown there. But that might have just been a little caching thing, because now it seems to be going full speed. Yeah, so a couple little dropouts here and there, but I mean, playable. And this is a PS2 game that it's running at 60 FPS. Now, I'm not like tweaking any of the graphics. This is all like default. But look how great it runs. A couple little gotchas, and it might be just a disk hit that we're looking at there. But yeah, I'm looking up at the right-hand corner, and it's 100%. And this is on a $125 computer. So put Batocera on it. It's boot from that. It's like a retro game console. It does it all. You know, I'm still a Mr. guy for a lot of the older stuff, but PS2, Dreamcast, more than adequate for that. But this is a very playable experience on a $125 computer. I don't even think you can buy a PlayStation for $125 right now. You know, a PS2. Can you? Maybe you can. I don't know. They seem to be all over the place, but what's happening now is like PS2 is getting into the nostalgia zone along with the Nintendo 64. But it's really impressive what you can do with one of these little things. Yeah, so what you got here is, you know, relatively low power consumption, very low price, and that's why, like, I've been saying to people, like, hey, you know, my kid's really into computers. What should I get for Christmas? This is like the best kind of gift you can get them, because it's a computer that they can screw up or not. They can learn some of the basics of Linux and self-hosting. You can dual boot it, as I'm doing. So you'll see in a second when I switch to the other operating system, this little computer dual boots between Linux and Windows. So I can just, you know, reboot and I'm in Linux, or go back to Windows. And they work great for Plex servers. Probably not ideal for like Unraid or something, just because you don't have a lot of storage options. It's just USB storage. But the rest of it, I think, is really, really slick. So yeah, not bad at all. If I'm not careful, I'll be playing this all day long. So right now we are testing the G3. So this is the least expensive one, and I've reviewed this a lot. And I'll put it, maybe I'll pin it in the chat here. So the base, what you just saw, is all of what we just did. Now, I did not forget about Adele's question. Adele wanted me to look, or Adel, I want to make sure I get your name correct. Twitch. So we'll go over to Twitch real quick, and we'll try a 1080p 60 viewing stream. I think it should be fine for that. So right now I'm at 1080p. And the question was how well it can play back 60 FPS stuff. So I'm assuming everybody on Twitch is streaming at that rate. And maybe we'll look at like Call of Duty. Just a random one here. Let's see what we get. And it looks like it's still coming in here. So it's 1080p 60. Okay, so we got 1080p 60. We'll go full screen here. And I'm not sure if they have like a stats for nerds or something on, but it seems like it's playing it back just fine. Here, let's go over here. I see there's a little gear icon. Let's see, report, pop out player, always show events, quality, auto. Let's lock it in at 1080p 60, which I've done. Now what I don't get is video stats. Okay, I'm gonna turn the stats on. All right. So it skipped a couple of frames. I'm looking at this up here, but it's generally holding steady at 60. Now, who's to say that the skip frames didn't come from the source, right? But just in watching this, it skipped a little bit as I was setting up that box up there, but it's been holding steady at 60. So I'm looking at the skipped frames here, and it stopped skipping once I got the menu up there. So I think the answer is that it can handle Twitch, watching Twitch at full steam without an issue. Incidentally, what you can also do with these little guys is they're actually not bad for video encoding. So we've done a lot of demos of Plex running on this. And this will run Plex in Windows, but also in Linux. And so in some of the videos you'll find on my channel, we actually did 4K to 1080, I think it was like 4K to 720p with hardware tone mapping to go out of HDR into SDR on this little computer, and it only took about 20% of its resources. So it still had room to do more. So what Intel has packed into these N100s is remarkable. And that's why this thing, you keep seeing this on the channel because it's so inexpensive, but it's so useful. So that's why I keep bringing it back, because it's been so great. And Raging Wolverine says, N100 has been a game changer in the budget space, amazing value. Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, like when you look at all the other things Intel is doing, like I would imagine that you could be doing more with these, but they don't because they don't want to cannibalize upstream, right? But for a general computer, I don't think for many people you need more than this. It's that good. So there you go, Adele. That is Twitch running just fine on here, as you saw. And compliments to whoever we're watching here for letting us borrow his stream for a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to reboot this. And remember, we've got 2 drives in here. So if I hit power and restart, and it's got a little fan on it that you'll hear. So the mini PC was actually down here the whole time. It was buried under some other stuff. I put it on the table over there. I got this table where everything just goes, and apparently it just got buried by a bunch of other stuff. You're welcome, Adel. I'm here to serve. All right, so now we're going to reboot this, and what we're going to see when we come back up is Linux running on it. And most of these, I think with the exception of this one, most of these allow you to do multiple SSDs. And Al Bundy has a good point too, that the M100 is a good alternative to the Raspberry Pi style mini computer. I agree completely. And I think for people looking for a general computing device, you can't go wrong with this because it is x86. You can run actually it's x64, so you can run anything designed for one of those chips. And we're just waiting for Windows to to let us reboot. I might force it in a minute if it takes too long. Yeah, so this one is similar. So the Minix one, this is the Z300 that has the N305 chip. So I wouldn't say that this one is necessarily faster. It has more cores, so it can do a little more at the same time. So if you were looking to run like a server or something, that might... Ooh, what's this? Let's see. Required device is connected and can't be accessed. Let me turn this off. I'm not sure what happened there. It's making me look bad. But I think if we reboot now, it'll bring us back to the what is it, the grub menu. Let's see. Huh. Well, that ain't fun. So what I will do then is I will manually pick the drive, and we should be okay after I do that. Just got to get the right key, F7. So we'll go to Ubuntu. Ready? Boom. Now we're moving into Linux. Linux world. Hi, Matt Green. Good to see you. Yes, definitely stop by tonight. We got more fun on the way. It's a full day of streaming. Streaming's tiring, I'll tell you that much. I'm not much of a streamer. Well, I am a streamer. I stream all the time, but yeah, and this is like almost like a not a rerun per se, but what I like to do on these Black Friday shows is that when I have a bunch of stuff that is either on sale or just being promoted, it's kind of fun to just get it all out and people can see how it works. So that's what we're doing today. So as you saw, we were just on Windows. Now we are running Linux. So I can boot up the Ubuntu here. I've got LibreOffice running, so I can do my word processor. They got a lot of other stuff here too. We can go into LibreOffice Calc, a little spreadsheet. And what I love about Linux is that at this point, you can get for free an extremely robust set of tools, including the operating system. Like LibreOffice, I think, is every bit as good as and useful as Microsoft Word. And I can save the files as Word documents. So I can do Word all the way back to 2003. Actually, it goes back to 97. Text, you name it. And I think it opens even older stuff. We've got a bunch of updates here that have to come down. So security updates, so we'll just hit the install and let that run in the background here. And let me just put my password in here. And we'll get that going. And then if I open, I think it even opens like even older stuff. Yeah, so yeah, this thing will even load up like Lotus Word Pro documents from the late 90s. Like this thing, look at all the stuff it supports. I mean, in some ways it's more useful than, I mean, it just keeps going and going. This is what it can open. It's like it can open anything. Any file you made at any, even opens Quark Express files. What? This is LibreOffice in Linux. 100% free. And it seems like it's not connecting to the internet. Let's see. Let's go back to our updater. There it goes. Let's try it again here. I could also just do it on the command line too. Yeah, so the closed captioning should be working on Amazon only. I had to set up another computer for that. What happened was that I was running it on, so Amazon requires closed captioning for those of us who want to get featured on the main page there. So I have to let it run, and I have a laptop on the floor now that's that's doing that. All right, let's try to do these downloads again. There we go. Now it's working. Probably have to reboot here. So D-Turk is using the N100 to run a CNC and do some light CAD design. Yeah, it should work well as an NDI receiver. I can actually try that in a second. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on what you use for homework, or whatever you're doing with it. But for me, I mean, as a word processor, I think it's more than capable. Do I find that Linux is smoother than Windows? Lately, it's feeling that way, especially on the lower end hardware. It does feel a little snappier. And let's see what we have to display at here on this too. Oh, we're still only at 60 hertz. We'll go up to 100 here. Yeah, it does feel a little snappier actually. Now that we have it at the right refresh rate. Yeah, this curved monitor is on sale today. It came in from the Amazon Vine program, so I figured I would I would do something with it. All right, so let me go and I think I see what's happening here. So a bunch of the stuff that I was talking about, like came off deal maybe? Is that why I'm losing viewership? Let's go back into this real quick. Yes, I think the GMK Tech PC sold out. But they still have some on there, so you probably can get those. But the Z100 here will perform about the same. Okay, let's restart real quick. It should come back up now. I think what was happening was the Windows switched the boot order. Yes, we will be doing that at 6:30, so I'm going to take off in about a half hour to get ready for that one. I got to reconfigure the set or the equipment for that because of how it works. And LibreOffice runs in Windows also. I forgot to mention that. Oh, and then the Oculink thing. So let's talk about that. So as this is rebooting. So, yeah, it's still doing that. Yeah, I'm going to turn it off. Let's see if it does it when I turn it back on. I must have done something to upset it, or maybe there was an update that installed on Windows that... Because usually this thing reboots up to Grub. All right, so let's see. Yeah, it's still doing. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later. This is life with me here. All right, so now here's some other examples. Now this one's kind of neat because let's get the cables untangled here. So this one has like the latest and greatest Ryzen. This is the this one is the GMK Tech. Let me pull it up on the list here. Oops. I'm just going to pull it up on my list of computers. Oh, is this one not on the list? I guess this one isn't on the list. I have to reconfigure my product listing here. Hang on. Because this was on sale, but now it isn't. See, things keep coming on and off deal, so they sometimes disappear from my list. It may not be on sale, but either way, I'll explain what it is. Bear with me for 1 second. Yeah, this one's not on sale at the moment. It was a little while ago. In any event, this one has what's called an Oculink port on it. So this is like a direct-to-bus connection. I just did a whole video on it, which nobody saw because the YouTube algorithm did not recommend it. But if you see one of these with an Oculink port, you can get these really cheap adapters that allow you to connect up a direct-to-bus connection. So you can get external GPUs running, really, really slick. Except it looks ridiculous because you end up with all this hardware hanging off the side. So if you go in and look at my my review of this of the external GPU, you can see like you have to have a separate power supply. Like it gets really involved. Let's just put it that way. So at some point, it makes more sense to get like a desktop PC. Now the sweet spot, I think, is this guy. So I'll highlight it real quick. This one's on sale. This is the M6. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's at its lowest price that I've seen in a while. I'll hook it up real quick. Now, for example, when you go into the more modern ones with the more up-to-date Intel processors, so for example, the K9 here, this one with an Intel Core 5, whatever they call the thing now, was it the You know what I'm talking about. The equivalent of the Intel i5 for this generation. I'm losing my train of thought already. This one is $600, right? As is this one below it from B-Link. They're up there. This one is like the sweet spot between this and these. So you can get this for like $125. This one is $300. So it's 3 times more expensive, but you know, it's 100 and something versus 300. Whoa, I almost fell off the chair. So let me plug in the cord here. And I think what I'll do is I'll take it apart real quick. And I'll show you what's inside of it. Let's go get my screwdriver. You got to keep all these power cords straight also because they're all specific for each one. So this one you have to use a screwdriver to open up the top, but I do want to show you what's inside there so you can get a look at it. And I put my screwdriver, here it is. We almost had to go on another hunt for equipment. Ooh. Okay, so let me flip this over real quick here, and I will show you what is inside of this one. So like the other one, you can pull the top off, but there's another layer you have to get removed because they put some cooling on it, but it's still very upgradable. All right. So Mark liked it. Brian saw that one too. Yeah, it was pretty freaky looking because you had all these extra pieces that you had to connect. And Nimble, tell me what deal you're talking about. I didn't see the rest of the post there. So this one, I should mention what this one has inside of it. So this one has an AMD Ryzen 6600H. So it's not like as powerful as the most current Ryzens, but it's up there. And you have a little bit more upgradability, I think, on this one too. Let me show you what's inside here. I gotta remember how this comes up here. Let's see, I guess pull it. Let me get my spudger thing out here. My spudger disappeared. I got all the screws out. Just gotta get underneath there a little bit. Yes, this is just like a plastic cooling plate that goes on top. You just have to snap it out. Grab a little screwdriver bit here and just pry it out that way. I got all the screws. I got 4 screws out of it. Oops. There we go. Takes a little coaxing, but here it is. So inside here, so if you remember on the cheaper one, the second NVMe slot was not for an NVMe drive. It was for a SATA. So here you can put a second NVMe in here. So you have 2. And this one has, inside, this one's got the Ryzen 6600H. We have dual channel memory here. And I don't think it supports SATA. Some of these actually support like an actual SATA drive on top of the 2 NVMEs. But this one's called the M6. Ooh, a 4-bay Orico direct attached storage for $98. Is that on Amazon? Let's see. You're going to make me spend money. Well, I see one for $150. Let me do Black Friday, Orico. Well, I'm going to have to look at that after the stream is over with. I do want to get like an enclosure for some Unraid stuff. So there's the inside. And you don't really have to screw this part back in, but it's probably advisable to do so. And the fan here is just a fan, but it does draw heat out of the storage area. Now, I don't think it comes with another heat sink, though, so you may want to get that or get a drive that has one built in for the second position. But as you will see in a minute, this thing is actually somewhat pretty capable. And then we'll just re-screw everything back in here. All right, Ed, an Amazon customer, thank you for the follows on Amazon. So we will screw this all back in. Yes, I think we sold out all the cheap ones. That's what happens whenever I do one of these streams. But you saw just like, you know, for those G3s, again, I think if you've got a kid that wants to get into computing, these are really good things to get, especially the G3. But even the Minix, not that expensive. All right, we'll screw it back together here. Now put the top back on. All right, we are back in business, as they say. Yes, it's got rubber feet, but we were just on the top. So all the stuff that you want to access is off the top, not the bottom. So this is the top, and then the bottom's got the rubber feet. So the processor is not removable. I mean, you could, I'm sure somebody watching could figure out a way to remove it, but generally not removable. All right, so what we're going to do now is just swap all these things out here. Now this one, if I remember correctly, let me go pull up the specs of it so I can speak intelligently on this, because I reviewed this a little while ago. I review so many of these things that one blends into the next. But this is the M6. It is on sale for $289.99. So you've got, so this one, I don't know what the configuration is of the one I'm linking to. Let me pull that up real quick so I can get you the right information here. GMK Tech M6. So $289 with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. This one, I think, is the 32 gigabyte version with a terabyte. But performance will be the same either way. The case is all plastic, so it feels, from a build quality perspective, similar to the green one here. But this is much more powerful, as you'll see. So let's get HDMI hooked up here. Also on this one, you get two 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports. So it's a good little server. If you wanted to do like pfSense or whatever, you could do that. You have 2 display outputs. This one has 2 display outputs also. I don't think I showed you the output options on it. But believe it or not, the little one here actually has 2.5 gigabit Ethernet also. Just one port, but it has 2 HDMI outputs. And this runs Linux just fine. I did test Linux on it a little while ago. No problem. All right, I'm hoping that I have the right power cord. Let me double check. The power supply is a little large. So they do have a little density to them. But I think this is probably the best deal at the moment. 19 volts. 19 volts, okay. Got the right one. 19 volt power supply. All right, got that in there. Keyboards are attached. Feel like I'm doing my pre-flight on the airplane. So make sure everything's connected so we don't have magic smoke or worse. Hopefully it comes back up after we took it apart. Now this one is a little more powerful, so I'll show you kind of a higher end game that you can run on it. I'm just going to plug my controller in directly to make life easier here. So again, a 6600H on this one. I'm waiting for my mouse to connect here. There it goes. It's asking me to tap stuff, which I can't do yet because the mouse isn't connecting. Let's see. Oh, the mouse is on Bluetooth mode. How do I get it back to its... There we go, 1. Okay, now I got it. All right. So now we are good. So, lucky for you, I did this earlier. So let's load up Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, somehow this one ended up on our last stream too, I think, didn't it? So whereas this one and this one could never run this game, this one can. And then I've got some B-roll footage I can show you of the other two running this game, so you can get a good comparison. Yeah, so you can find those G3s for like $100. I recommend, and this is not just because I'm live streaming on Amazon right now, it's the honest to God truth. I recommend buying these mini PCs on Amazon because at least you have, if you have a problem, you've got some recourse. You know, a little more recourse on Amazon than you would on another retailer like AliExpress or whatever. So I don't have Hogwarts Legacy, but I think the answer is probably yes, and I'll show you Red Dead Redemption 2 here, which does run fairly well. So I think I've got it at 720p right now, and at 1080p it runs at 30 frames per second. At 720p, I'll load up another game that we hadn't played earlier too. At 720p it was almost to 60. So the visual quality won't be spectacular. But one other thing, let me pull up this question again because I think it's a good reminder. One other consideration would be to get like a Steam Deck or a Legion Go or a ROG Ally, because those are handheld PC systems that can also plug into external displays. And that might give you a little more gaming flexibility because you could have a portable that you can plug in that will perform close to what this one is looking at. All right, so right now, this is at 720p at the lowest settings. I'm getting 60 frames per second walking around here. But it's going to drop a little bit when we get into more complex environments. Let me get out of this area here. So it'll look a little better on screen to you right now than it does to me looking at it. So it definitely looks like 720p. But the fact that it runs on here and is playable at almost around 60 frames per second. So right now it's at 55. So as you get into more complex environments, it'll show its limitations. But so right now it's about 50 with a little more complexity with the horses. It has to calculate the horse's behavior, all of that other stuff. But so we'll have the horse take off here, if I can remember how to ride the horse. Oh. Get on that horse. Why is he not getting on the horse now? Oh, the horse is running away. Wait a minute here, horsey. Let's get on your high horse. There we go. All right, so we'll start riding the horse here, see if we can. Yeah, so about 57, 56. So, like I said, I don't have Hogwarts to try, but I would imagine you could get it playable at 720p. So now that we get into this clearing here, it's at 75 frames per second on a $300 computer, running the PC version. Now, granted, you can go out and buy an Xbox Series S and play this game, at a variable frame rate or variable resolution. But performance-wise, I think it's pretty good. So it will vary based on where you're going, in other words. Not good for my horse to do this. Not good on the horse's legs. But very playable. Whoa, Nelly. Yeah, 66 frames per second right here. What I wanted to do was run over to something a little bit more complex to see, you know, from a modeling standpoint. So we'll go over to that structure there, and then we'll try, oof, oh, jeez. We'll try a different game. It's actually pretty remarkable when you think all that has to go into a game like this. The animation, you know, everything on this map had to be placed by somebody, right? It's not some AI-generated thing. We'll jump into this village here and see what it looks like. All right, let's slow them down here. But what's fun about doing these live streams is that we can go into a little bit more depth and detail versus one of my regular videos. You don't want to have an hour-long review of one of these things. You want to keep it around 10 minutes or so. So when we show games, we show them very briefly. Oh, a little glitch there. Yeah, so right now we're at 70 frames per second, 720p lowest settings. And I expect this will decline a little bit as we get closer to this structure here where there's some mechanical stuff going on. Yeah, so here it's 68. 66. So it seems like the horses and the people slow it down a little bit more. So as this guy's walking by here with the wood, no, it's still 70. $68. Again, 720p. So the Beelink EQ-i12, I have not tried this one, but my experience with Beelink is that that's a good deal. That's like a really good deal. I don't know why they're shooting at me, but there you go. So let's try one more game, and then I got to jet in a little bit. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, it's better than nothing. Like it can game. Like that's what's so remarkable for the price point, right? So I have another one we can try real quick here. Let's listen. I may have to install it real quick, but all right. Let's go over to. You can see the size of my Steam library, of which I've played very little. This is actually a good example of the Ethernet and everything kind of coming together here. So we will install this game. So this game has, this is No Man's Sky. It has to download 18 gigabytes, which it will do very quickly because we're connected up at 2.5 gigabits. So as you can see, it's ramping up already. So we're at half a gigabit, over half a gigabit. Now we're really cranking. 730 megabits per second. By the way, you can have a multi-gigabit connection like I do. You will rarely see Steam or anyone else go beyond a gigabit, just based on how their CDNs work. Now we're at 820 megabits per second. We're almost to a gigabit here. Let's see if it gets there. Not quite. And in case you're wondering, this is the GMK Tech M6. So this one is like the mid-range of this tower of power here. And I've got one other one here too that will be featured later this evening. So this one, and this one are running with the latest Ryzens. This one has essentially the Core 5. So this one, and this one can run, if I'm not mistaken, can run Red Dead Redemption 2 at 60 at 1080p, lowest settings, with just their built-in GPUs. But like, I have tried other games. So what's the Starfield? That one struggles on these. That's where you need the external GPU or the discrete GPU. But now we're pushing a gigabit, 1.1 gigabits per second. So it's cranking. And Firo was doing a three-player split-screen goat simulator. There you go. Yeah, so a lot of those games are going to run fine on here. That's what I mean. I think a lot of the casual stuff, you saw earlier how Iron Meat was running on the N100 computer here without any issue. And Beanie King picked up No Man's Sky. Yeah, so now you will be as addicted to it as I am. Like I've been playing this game since it came out, and it's gotten so much better over the years. But it just consumes you. And now they're doing these community expeditions where you have to finish it in a certain length of time to get your reward, of which now I've done 2 in the last month. And I got a really nice new ship, and I actually added a awesome cruiser to my battle fleet. Here, let me show you what I've got here. I'm probably repeating what I did like a day or 2 ago. I can't remember how many. I've done like a lot of streams now. So we did a stream Friday. I did one on Thursday, yesterday, and I did 2 today. And then we've got the big one tonight over at the Whatnot thing. So it's busy. And we got about 200 watching on YouTube and about another 140 watching on Amazon. Okay, so now we've got No Man's Sky here, one of my favorites. And this is my main save. So I'll take you on a tour of my activity here. So I will love Star Citizen when it's done. I paid for it back in 2012. I'll have to go back and revisit it because I did buy it, like just whatever like the base level thing is. But I want Squadron 42 to be done so I can play through that. I want that Wing Commander experience. And yes, but I think we looked at the G5, and that's with the N97. That one, yeah, you can check out my review of that one. It's very good performance for its size. And it can be that size because there's not much to it. These are all like single chip systems. And I will agree with this. The Mac Mini 4 is a good deal. But once you add to it, it becomes less of a good deal. So for example, this mini PC is upgradable. For general computing tasks, it's more than adequate. Now I'm still waiting for all the textures to draw in here. This sometimes takes a minute or 2 for everything to settle down. So we'll give it a second here. Yeah, now see how it takes a minute? And now it's in. All right, so this one we're running. Let me check my settings here. And I think we're at 1080p. I'm going to bump it because we are at 100 hertz. I don't think we're going to get there. But I'll bump this up to 100. And I'll turn the VSync off. And we're at standard graphics. There we go. Yeah, so 1080p, we're at about 42 inside of my spaceship hangar here. This is my new ship, the Boundary Herald. And then I'll show you my other ships. This is we're inside my freighter right now. So I've got, is that one mine? I guess, no, that's not mine. These random ships will land in your freighter. Then I have, this guy is just sentimental. He's my first ship. Not much to look at, a little snub-nosed fighter there. And then I've got this guy. This is my favorite one. I've done some upgrades to it also, the Owl of Infinity. And then this is a cargo freighter I found crashed on a planet somewhere. I'm going to probably trade this one in at some point if I run out of room in my hangar. Here, we'll hop in my other ship. I haven't been in this one in a little while, so we'll go hop in this guy. And what we'll do is we'll go visit a planet. Woo! Yeah, my controls are inverted here. Let me just fix that real quick. There we go. Apply that. Okay. So here's my fleet. So this ship needs repairs, so I have to dock to this one a little later and fix that. But let me show you my other cruiser that I just got. These are all mine. I'm responsible for all these ships. So what you do is you send these larger ships, you send out on missions. But you can land on them, so I have to land on this at some point, go inside the ship and repair it, because it took some battle damage in one of our last encounters. Oops. And I think this is my Mass Effect ship that I recently got over here. There it is. I think that's the Mass Effect one. Doesn't that look cool? This is all running on this little M6 here. So now we're doing about 50 frames per second, 1080p. So you're not going to get to 60 at 1080p here, but it's running at 1080p. And then we'll go visit a planet real quick. Let me just get away from my ships here for a second. And we'll go find a planet that's nearby. That's the other planet. So we'll go back to my base planet, which is this one. This planet's called Lonville. So it'll take us about 30 seconds to get there. So yes, I have not only tried it out, I have reviewed it, and it was a good controller. My only gripe with it is that it doesn't have a switchable mode here. So its mode is determined on what mode it is in. In other words, if it's in Bluetooth mode, then it maps the controllers to the switch. If it's in 2.4 gigahertz mode, it maps to X input. So you can't, so on this one, for example, I can run it Bluetooth in either the switch mode or the X input mode. And we'll set her down right here on this platform. There we go. All right. So on the planet's surface here, we're getting about 30. Again, lowest settings. So it's playable. I mean, just like the other game, it's more playable at 720p. Now, what's happened with No Man's Sky is that they continually update the complexity of the graphics. So what might run one year will be, a little less performance the following year based on what they're doing. And I still have issues with these trees continually growing into my into my base here. I do constant landscaping on my property. The trees grow fast on this planet. And what's cool about No Man's Sky is that it also runs in VR, and it's the same game in virtual reality. So you get a real sense of scale in the VR mode. And this is a base that I built myself here. So if I hit this thing here, it's like a little transporter, and it brings me under the water. So I've got these little tubes I can run down and watch the fish. So in VR, this is like really awesome because you get a real sense of being underwater. It's really neat. And we're at about 30 frames per second here also. So again, 720p, the sweet spot for this machine. Now so this one, and the other one down there, which have the more expensive, but they have the more powerful processors. Those can do this at close to 60 at 1080p. But it's really fun to come down here in the VR headset because this gives you a sense of scale that you don't get on a 2D screen. This is my lowest point. And then I have like a little exit here so I can go swimming. So I can pop out. Isn't that cool? This is the lowest level. So it's kind of neat. Yeah, so I have a whole like underwater lair here. And you could visit this base too. If I think I put, at some point on my blog, I put the coordinates to it. You can't mess around with it because it's locked. But when they did the update, so this used to be like blue underwater, and now it's red. So they made some changes. But the planet that I reside on here, I was really lucky. Like I found this planet. It is it's got a very stable environment. So a lot of these like planets that look appealing at first have these awful storms that kill you. This one is very, very benign as planets go. But yeah, you can build an underwater base. So you can build down and up. And it takes a while because you have to get all the resources. They have a creative mode similar to Minecraft that you can do more with. And some people do some really creative stuff with their bases. Mine is less so, but I just thought it was cool to build a little base here on a lake. Isn't that neat? And again, in VR, it's just amazing. Like, it's just so cool in VR. And then this is the inside of my building that I built. And I've got my little garden here. And then I have my staff. I have staff. So my staff lives in here. This is the base staff. I have staff on my ship also. The good news is you don't have to pay them. They just kind of volunteer. And then here's my ship, and I can jump in my ship. And this is what's so neat about this game. So we can jump in the ship, and I can go somewhere else. And even on a low-end PC, there's really very little load time. Now this, I will say, this is one area where the Mac Mini runs this game better. So at 1080p, you get amazing performance here. Here, so we'll go to this planet. This is really cool. Now this is just one solar system. So I could go, well, go here, and then I'll show you the rest of it. Yeah, I'm eager to see how that works if Cyberpunk is coming. So they will be porting a lot more games over, for sure. And I think that's going to make a big difference on the Mac, because it is more than capable of running a lot of this stuff. Yeah, just like the Instagrammers. Like those guys work for exposure. Yeah, so that's what those little teleporters are. So they don't actually have an elevator. They have like teleporters. So that's what I've been using to go up and down. But again, I think the VR is really fun to walk around in once you put your base together. It's really neat. Yeah, he can walk, but I like running better. All right, so we're going to follow the course here all the way in. So this is another planet, and these planets are as big as planets. So everything is procedurally generated. There are billions of planets in this game, like literally billions. Like and they generate based on an algorithm. So they're not like stored on the disk. Everything is just random. But the planet will look the same if you visit it versus me visiting it. So I built like a little base here because it's a really cool view. So I'll set her down here when I find a good landing spot. The ship is not landing at the moment here. Let me go back up to the hill. So my base is up over here. Oops, I'm running into things. Oh, geez. Oh, here we are. Now I know where I am. Okay. It's dark out. Got to wait for the sun to come up. So they do have day-night cycles on most of these planets, too. So as you can see, I got my light on right now. But yeah, you land on a planet. And this is a crashed freighter here. And then I put a base. Is my base all the way up there? Yeah. I put a base up here because it's got a really cool view. So we can wait for the sun to come up. And yes, this is the M6. And we're running this at 1080p at the standard settings. So on the M6, this is No Man's Sky. We're running at 1080p at the standard settings. Right now I'm getting about 40 frames per second on the planet. And 30 here now that there's an animal following me around. I think I upset it. We have to shoot it if it gets problematic. So now we're just going to wait for the sun to come up, because the view up here is really cool, especially in VR. And I think I can actually force it if I... So if you sit around long enough, the sun comes up. It's really neat. So the M7, let me look up the M7. So the M7, that one will not be significantly faster than this one. And I'm pretty sure I reviewed that one too. If you check my channel, I think I've got a review of it up. The M7, though, has the USB 4 ports and an Oculink port. So the M7 will take an external GPU. So that might be worth it for you. I think the better upgrade is to go to the K8 Plus or the B-Links with the similar processors, because those will deliver a lot better performance. And you can do a little bit more with gaming on those, in my humble opinion. So I'm just waiting for the sun to come up. It looks really cool. Now you can see the planets too. So those are some other planets that are in the neighborhood of this solar system. It looks like the sun's coming up because the temperature is getting back to normal here. And it's a lot of like crafting and stuff that you have to do and management of resources. So I've got to fill up my oxygen here. Here we go. So now it's going to come up. And this is the view from my little vista here. I think that ship crashed recently because I don't recall it blocking the view from this spot right here. But in virtual reality, things have a different scale. So for example, if you look at this base computer next to my player, it's almost up to my head. And in VR, it'll be up to about your chest. Isn't that cool? So you get a much better sense of scale. You climb up to the top of the ship here so you can get a better view. Whoop, whoop. Ran out of juice. Yeah, so you can dig up stuff from this freighter and claim it. But there's my ship down there. And this gives you a good sense of the scale of these planets. It just looks so cool. And they all have day-night cycles for the most part. Some of them have crazy storms. And I've set up like bases all over the place. So I've got one, for example, that is a mining operation. That's where I made most of my money. They recently they rebalanced the game. So there was this one raw material called activated indium. And if you set up a mining operation, you could just make a ton of money over the course of a week or two. So you set up the mines, you go there every couple of days, extract your resources, sell them at a space station, and then you could make a lot of money. So I built up a lot of money doing that. Now the only thing that I think a lot of players would like to see in this game is to have a planet with multiple biomes. So for example, this planet will look, things will be different, the geography will be different, but the planet itself is the same no matter where you go. It'll look the same, just with different geological features. So there's no like desert area, like the Sahara Desert kind of thing. There's none of that. So each planet has its own vibe, and it doesn't have any variation of that. Yeah, it's like Dogecoin. Exactly. All right, so I'll show you one other thing here. So we'll go. We're gonna go hit up the space station real quick here, and I'm gonna hop in my warp zone. Actually, I'll go back to my base and warp from there. That's the other base. Hang on. Yeah, I'll go to the space station. It'll be easier. All right. So there's a space station just about in every system, and on the space station, wherever it may be. Where's the space? There it is. So they have a Stargate on the space station. Oops. I just warped right into those ships that were warping in. It's a very active NPC universe here also with these players that pop in. So LV Raven got a good deal on the K8 Plus. K8 Plus is a good machine. I just finished reviewing that one. So that is the one that's on the floor. That one has Oculink, which can be useful. And this one does not have USB 4. Let me double check here. Zero Cash Flow, thanks for the kind words. Yeah, I try to be the best tech channel. I do my best. So now we're going to dock with this space station here. I'm trying to remember what ports it had. I don't think it has USB 4. Did I not dock with the space station? What happened here? I think I'm getting attacked. Let's get in here before we get into trouble. The space battles are fun, and my ship is like very powerful. So I'm not worried about, I mean, I could take on those pirates, no problem. But I wanted to show you my mining operation. So here we are on the Lon system orbital. So I discovered this system. So if I go into discoveries, I was able to name this. Let's make sure I get all these uploaded here. So if you find this system, you will see it as the Lon system, no matter what you play it on. I own this in No Man's Sky. And I named my home planet Lonville. So this is mine. You can land on it, you could set up a base on it and stuff, but you can't change the name because I was the one that discovered it. And even though like this game's been out for a long time, you will still encounter like regularly planets that have not been discovered because there's so many. Like it's insane, and they're all unique. All right, so port-wise, it says DDR5 RAM too, by the way. Yeah, so the Type-C port is not USB 4. I take that back. It is USB 4. Type-C port output speed. No, it isn't. Nope. Okay, so this port is USB 3.1 Gen 2. I do not believe it is USB 4. I'm just looking through the rest of the specs. It's confusing because they have this chart up. All right, here's the actual specs. Ports. Oh, it is USB 4. Okay, so they said this is a USB 4 40 gigabit. Check out my review because I do test the speed of the port in all of those. And this has been running at about 30 to 45 frames per second. Now the base where my mine is called Show Me the Money, and it's on a different planet. And it's a really dangerous environment there, high radiation. Like that's where you find all the good stuff. So you got to be careful there. If you want to know what I do in my spare time, this is what I do. So this has the built-in Ryzen processor. This is a 6600H, I believe. So it's just onboard graphics. Would people watch a Lon Let's Play? Because I only play like 3 games. And it does run on the Switch too. And actually now they have cross-save. So you could play it on the Switch, and then your save game file will translate over to your PC later. And El Raven got their... Oh, cool. Glad the review was helpful. Yeah, people have been really digging the mini PC reviews lately. I get far more traffic on the mini PCs than I do anything else right now. So here's my storage tanks. So all the indium is stored in here. and the mines are right here. These are the miner machines. And they extract 147 to 160 units per hour. So what you have to do, and it's a whole long duration thing, but what you need is you have to get like this scanner thing, and then it tells you where the stuff is, and then you plop your mining plant down. So I built this whole base specifically for this. And then I go in here and extract. So I've filled up my storage units here, and we'll just drop it into my exosuit. So I had about 3 million units worth of activated indium, but before they changed everything, like that was worth a lot more than that. And here's my ship parked here. And if you notice here, it's extreme radiation. But I do have, oh, this is cool too. I forgot about this thing. So I have like this little buggy I built here. Look at that. And I've got this awesome buggy. I think it's got weapons on it too. It's like fully decked out. And I can drive around without as much issues with the radiation. I forgot how to turn. I got to turn this way. That's right, the right stick. There we go. Oh, that's water. Yeah, so they've got all sorts of, like, they've just been making this game better and better. We're going to get the heck out of here before we die. And I have to go in a minute. Got to eat some dinner and charge up before before the next stream. So there you go. It's that time of the year. Tech support for the parental units. I did that last night at my mother's house. So all set there. All right, everybody. Well, hopefully this was fun and just gave you a sense as to where the boundaries are. Let me show you, because we don't have time to boot it up now, but the stream I did yesterday, we did do a bunch of stuff. I'm getting notifications from Whatnot reminding me.
You have a chance to win
So,
a Lenovo Legion Go handheld brand.
Okay, so let's go back to yesterday's B-Link Sur 8, and I'll show you what we got for performance on that. Something really bad is happening here. Let me just get out of this game here before something bad happens to me. Am I getting attacked? Something really awful is happening. Let's just get the heck out of the game before. They have these creatures, or these robots called the Sentinels that enforce the law in No Man's Sky, and sometimes they just attack you randomly depending on the place you're at. Okay, so this was the B-Link Sur 8, which has the Ryzen 8745HS. This was 1080p at the lowest settings, and we were getting like 50-ish frames per second at low settings. So that one works really well. Again, this is the most powerful of the bunch here. So what you're looking at was footage from this bottom one, and it'll be similar to what you would get on this one. So these are like the $500 to $600 ones. And then here's No Man's Sky running on that same PC again, an 8745 Ryzen chip. And this is similar to what you'd get on the Intel. The Intel might do a little bit better, but here, same settings we had before. We were getting, once everything settles down, we were getting close to 60. So I'll fast forward a little bit here for when I'm walking around on the planet. So there you see like 58, 57. So the much better performance. And then Doom Eternal we ran at 1080p at the lowest settings. And this game is like super optimized. So we were getting like in the 70s to 80s, again, on the higher end mini PCs. So if you go with the higher end ones, you'll have a pretty good gaming experience. But I found the M6 though to be the nice middle ground. So yeah, I'm going to be doing some leftovers. So I'm going to refuel with some leftovers. I got to get through the leftovers. I still have 2 of my home chef meals to cook before they go bad too. So I got a lot of pressure on me here. So tomorrow we're going to be tomorrow I am shipping stuff out tomorrow, and then I'm going to make dinner. Because whenever I do one of these streams that I do, like everything goes, and I've got to ship it all out all at once. It takes a while. So I'm going to put my kids to work, I think, to do that. All right, everybody. I am done with this stream, but I'm not done with all of you. So we will be back at 6:30 p.m., not on Amazon, but on the Whatnot thing. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to get rid of all this stuff. And we're giving stuff away. It's going to be a lot of fun. So enjoy your leftovers. I'm hoping my leftovers will be done by tomorrow. But we shall see about that. And thank you all for tuning in all day today. We've been spending a lot of time together over the last couple days. So as always, it's fun. And so without knowing what i7 you have, it'd be hard to say. But generally, yes, some of the newer ones will probably outperform that one. And if you go to my Lon.TV/mini-PC short URL, you will see every mini-PC review I've ever done. And you will probably see one with your Dell processor in it, so you can get a good sense as to how things have escalated. And then Lon.TV/benchmarks, look for the 3D Mark Time Spy thing on that spreadsheet, and you can look up different processors on that too. All right. So I will see you all very shortly. And it's an epic streaming day today. Working out my fiber optic connection. All right. We'll catch you all on the next one. Take care.